My topic for today's video is going to be about COVID-19 and the whole pandemic back in 2019 and or maybe 2020. I don't know. But anyway, so the whole COVID-19 era is actually one of my favorite things, or I mean my favorite years so far. And first and foremost, I am aware a lot of people lost their lives due to the COVID-19 virus and the businesses crashing and inflation, etc., and so on. I sympathize to those people, but anyway, let's get to my point. So, my main point is the coronavirus itself. So, back in 2022, I I got positive of coronavirus, and I remember specifically that the coronavirus variant that I had was imo, imo, imo. I don't know if it's pronounced as Omicron or Omicron, but I believe it's Omicron variant. So one thing that I like, one of the things that really fascinated me is that back in those days, I wasn't aware that viruses were this tough. Like literally, bro. Like for example, different variants of COVID-19 shares different, shares one similarity, and that's continuous adaptation and evolving. And for example, different different virus variants, they also exhibit different kind of like abilities at this point. Like that's the best way to explain this. Like for example, the variant that I had, Omicron variant. Omicron variant was said to be a much more less lethal, but it's kind of like a speedster. Yes, I know. I'm going to explain this in a very nerdy way because it's one thing that is very just, easy to understand. Anyway, Omicron variant speedster, straight up. They spread much more faster compared to the other variants. And Delta variant and Alpha, Beta, etc., and so on. They're basically like the heavy hitters of coronavirus. The whole coronavirus, different kind of like forms. And the OG COVID-19, the coronavirus, that's kind of like the base form. It's it's still working the same. Nothing else. But anyway, it's actually genuinely interesting that viruses can be this sophisticated. I thought back in the day they're just a bunch of microscopic things that latch on to people and living organisms and just give them fever, cough, tuberculosis, nasty boogers. Like I thought back in the day they were just like that. But it appears they're much more complex, almost like living beings that's continuously evolving and adapting to different um, situations. I've googled, is a virus, are viruses living things? No, they're not basically, but I believe they are kind of like living beings in some way. But anyway, you get the point. And also, besides that, I want to address that I have not, I am sure I may not be doing this justice because there's this topic is so broad, I cannot fully grasp the full potential of this topic. Anyway, so besides, let's move on to the next reasoning of mine. So, in my experience of COVID-19 quarantine pandemic 2020, the whole world was a peaceful, quiet place. Like, for example, in major cities, the fog is gone, nowhere to be found, just like every other. Anyway, just okay. Awkward. So, yes, just like what I said, the whole world was healing due to no humans roaming around the cities, no ships gassing out and polluting the air, and just overall humans stuck in homes, which gives and gave animals, the animal wildlife, to actually like thrive and just straight up like enjoy a few peaceful years in their life. For example, a bunch of blue whales suddenly seen just popping out of nowhere, like straight up. Just blue whales literally just enjoying the sun and just diving in and out of the ocean. And the reports were actually like much more higher, almost the same as back in the 90s prehistoric era. Anyway, oh sorry, no offense by the way. Anyway, so yes, very interesting, and also a bunch of like almost like dwarf deers started roaming around the city more, especially in Wuhan, China, since the air pollution there decreased up to 30%. A bunch of wild boars and deers started like roaming around the city. It's like like for example, in the movie I Am Legend, the whole city was like taken over by nature. A bunch of wild animals roaming around the city, right? That's the same atmosphere in the Huan China. Like obviously different cultural architectural designs, but you get the point. No humans in cities and a bunch of wild animals roaming around. Like I am running out of words to express such unique and quiet, just overall oddly beautiful moment in the human society. Like, I mean, in the human times, like COVID-19 era, the quarantine days, it was something unique. I mean, I just like what I said previously, I highly sympathize and empathize sincerely to the people um, who had a lot of bad experiences back in those days. I mean, I'm one, for example. I was literally like, I felt like I was about to die with the Omicron variant roaming around my body. And yeah, but anyway, yeah. In conclusion, I humbly conclusionize COVID-19 era and the whole coronavirus quarantine era as actually a beautiful and unique yet terrifyingly interesting year, or like kind of like a arc, a story arc.